The DOJ has been politicized and weaponized against a sitting president. But, one of the things we're going to talk about this second part of the show is why all of this leads back to Barack insane Obama. I mean, Barack Hussein Obama. See, if I keep on, Facebook will take me off. Twitter's got me blocked for the interim because I said Harris and Sharpton were stupid when they were talking about releasing these black criminals back into the black neighborhood. Let's see here. So, the show's still going live here on Facebook for some reason. I don't know why. But we'll just roll with it. Okay, with it. That's what we used to say as kids. We thought it was funny. Roll with it. Oh, man. I used to tell you about my street scrape talk, man. My mom popped me in the mouth for saying scrape. She couldn't stand that ignorant speech. So, her boys, she didn't take kindly to her boys being imbeciles, nor did my father. They didn't tolerate foolishness well. They didn't. They didn't. I wish I could say they did, but no, they didn't. Let's see here. Well, we need to cut this off. Go to YouTube. Yeah, we need to cut this off. Okay, let's take this out, and we'll end it if we can. It looked like it wants to end. Here we go. Mueller had a horrible showing yesterday, and that's just what happens. That's what happens when you let others write for you. That's what happens when you still think you're a player and you're not. I mean, it just was so obvious that this guy was out of it yesterday. He was out of it. Totally. I like Bob Mueller. Don't get me wrong. I like the guy. I respect him. He's a great American. But yesterday he had a tough time. Yesterday he was in over his head. Yesterday we saw a man who was beaten. We saw a man who was uncomfortable. We saw a man who said, wait a minute. Why in the heck am I here? I should be at home with my lovely wife. And Bob deserves that. If anyone does, Bob Mueller certainly does. He should be at home with his lovely wife and, enjoying himself. But he's not. He's out here serving us, serving the people, because that's what he does. That's what Marines do. And I tell you, man, I really have a lot of respect for Mueller and wish him well. But I think not his first rodeo at all. So he knows what he needs to do to go up there and sit for, a couple hours at a time and elucidate, patriate. Oh, man. I wish I could say different, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I can tell you this, Hannity and Tucker Carlson had a good time last night. Laura Ingraham. I just saw part of Laura Ingram's show. I cannot stand her voice. So I don't like her analysis. So I don't look at it. I'll look at Tucker and I'll look at Hannity. But after that, I'm gone. I tell you, I'm gone. Okay. So I don't know what this is. It's pulling up the live dashboard. I don't know what that means. But hey, I'll figure it out. Okay, cool. So what are you going to do? That's a good question. What are you guys going to do? Are you going to call your senators? Are you going to call your congressmen and say, enough? Let's get to work. We have things that we need to do. We need to take out a new immigration policy. We need to ratify Trump's asylum change and codify it. If you walk through Mexico, if you come from China, Africa, and you walk through these other countries to get here, And you can't walk up to our door and claim asylum. You can't claim you're unsafe. You walk through all these other safe countries to get to America so that you can get handouts. No, 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 no. Time to stop that gravy train, folks. Let's take care of some Americans. Let's build some affordable housing, things like that. I love it. But, as I said before, and I say all the time, reality is much more compelling and much more interesting than fiction. Except if you're following my fiction writing brother and Perkins. I'm sorry, Dan Perkins, Dan Phillips, another guy, Dan Perkins. Oh yeah, I tell you, I'm going to put on my glasses here, where Mueller warns that Russia is still a threat in the 2020 election. Of course they are. They're always a threat. They're always a threat. I mean, that's what they do. That's who they are. I mean, really? I mean, tell us something we don't know. Of course, Russia is a threat. Of course, uh, China is a threat. I mean, really? Tell us something we don't know, Bob. I mean, Bob looked like a beat man yesterday, and I felt a little sorry for him because at the end of the day, he is a great, great, great uh, human being and a great man, if you ask me. Now, if you ask me, okay, let's see here. Feedback. No, I'm not sending any feedback. Let's see here. Man, I tell you, it's amazing how people always want information. They always want to take your time to get information. They always want you to stop what you're doing and give them some time. Like, can you tell me how many people live in your home? No. Can you tell me when's the last time you bought a new pair of shoes? No. Hey, I'm naughty like that. But here in our paper, in the Tribune, John Cass, who I don't know if John's a Democrat or Republican. I really can't tell. I've known him for years. But from his writings, you can't tell. And certainly in his writing today, I couldn't tell if he's a Democrat or Republican. He says, Democrats suffer anxiety attacks and they blame Mueller. Oh, God. They're talking about, they said those media bags popped in and out and in when Democrat media, David Axelrod and Harvard Law's Lawrence Tribe pronounced that the Mueller hearing an unmitigated disaster for their side. Hey, this is not Charles Butler. This is David Axelrod, the David Axelrod, and the Lawrence Tribe. Okay? They said there must have been a point in the Robert Mueller hearings when the big thinkers of CNN, MSNBC, curled up on the floor in the fetal position and began breathing into brown paper bags, trying to remain calm. Breathe collusion. Breathe that you not reach a determination as to crime, to whether or not the president committed a crime. Breathe. Ted Lieu. Breathe. Out and in. Out and in. This is in the article, man. This is too funny. Too funny. So Axelrod said on Twitter, well, why is that David Axelrod on Twitter? Because it's very effective. He said, it's delicate to say, but Mueller, whom I deeply respect, has not publicly testified before Congress in at least 6 years. And he does not appear as sharp as he was then. Wow. Well, I always thought he was a little slow, but I wasn't saying anything. I mean, he's there are people up there right next to him. They're with him. Not me. I'm just a poor boy. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut, so to speak. That's so to speak. Okay. Ah, man. Wow. Roger Stone is still fighting to stay out of jail. Lyco Roger, he's a good guy. Great guy. Here in Chicago, and I'm going to show this little, well, you can't really see it, but I'm going to read this to you. It's disgusting. These young women beat up this little girl who had mental issues. They were supposed to be her friend, and they tricked her out, and they said that she needed assistance because her friends beat her up. She said the girls offered to walk her, but on the way, they jumped her. I want justice for my friend. She didn't deserve any of this. Wow. Her mother passed away too, and that's how these girls treated her. I understand this because I had some friends who treated me the same way when my grandmother passed. The chief of police spokesman, Anthony Gulamendi, said that the video was beyond disturbing to watch and that this young girl deserved better. She certainly did. Wow. So I hope that she finds justice. I hope that she finds peace. I hope that God wraps his arms around this young woman and protects her and heals her heart. I wish there was something I could do for her, but this is deeper than that. She needs family. I don't know where her father is, but her mother passed away. I just pray to God that he takes care of this young child and that she finds love, happiness, and success in life as any other young child would, or we would aspire for any other young child too. Wow, amazing. So, man, it's amazing what people will do to other people, especially these young folks and these young girls. These young girls are, telling you, heartless. They're animals. But that's been a long time, long time. And we should deal with that. We should deal with that. I'm not going to cover Lori Lightfoot and her Mike Gaff, where she called a representative of the FOP, Fraternal Order of Police, a clown. See, Lori used to head the police oversight committee, which, monitored these guys. But these 4 officers got off on criminal charges, but they were sent back to the station without pay. They, in fact, Eddie Johnson fired them from the police force last week. So that's what they're petitioning. And see, this is what the police do to keep you from testifying. They do background checks. So you go to speak out against them, they do background checks to scare you. This is 2019, people. We're not talking a book 1985. We're talking right now. Talking right now, baby. Talking right now, real time. Okay. We they make this issue of ICE picking up, and detaining, wrongfully detaining a teenager here, another 19-year-old person there. I could care less. We got thousands of people coming here, and they need to be sent home. And they have fake IDs. Yep. So I'm going to spend a little time talking about Boris Yeltsin. No, Boris Johnson, the new Prime Minister of the UK, the new Prime Minister of England. He met yesterday with Queen Elizabeth II, and he asked the Queen, as the PM normally does. Now, we've had 44 prime ministers, I think, and Boris Johnson is the 12th that appeared before this queen. She's outlived all these dudes, man. I mean, really? The prime minister. He's the prime minister of the Conservative Party. Now, Johnson is adamant that Britain will leave the EU by October 30th, whether they have a deal or not. He reshuffled May's cabinet. He knows the good guys, the bad guys. He knows this. He's done it before. He was in the cabinet. So he's pulling the country out of the EU and silencing the doubters, the doomsters, the gloomsters who believe it can't be done. He's going to silence them. He's brash, he's focused, and he's goal oriented. I think Boris will get the job done. Unlike Theresa May, who was not for Brexit, she was against Brexit. I don't understand how she got elected PM, but that's beside the point. She did. You know, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but this is one of the stories we're going to briefly touch on, and that's the federal courts in D.C. in California split on cutting asylum requests. And, you know, that's the interesting thing. We have laws and we have judges who can't come to grips with Donald Trump being the president and Donald Trump being responsible for immigration. That falls under the purview of the executive branch. And Donald Trump is certainly acknowledging that and using that. He's hired more judges, more federal judges than any other president, more black and women judges than any other president. Let's be clear. So, federal judge in the ninth district out in San Francisco expressed deep skepticism of the new Trump administration policy that disqualifies immigrants from applying for asylum if they've traveled through another country before reaching the United States. The policy aims to curtail South American migrants across the southern border by requiring asylum seekers to apply elsewhere first. Whoa. Now, Judge John Tiger halted another version of the Trump administration's asylum ban last year and questioned whether the countries such as Mexico, Guatemala have adequate conditions needed to absorb thousands of migrants heading to the U.S. Well, we don't either, Judge. How about that? Tiger earlier ruled the federal law allows anyone who sets foot on U.S. soil to apply for asylum. That's why we're keeping them in Mexico. Wow. People don't get it. We do want safe immigration. We want legal immigration. That's what we want. I tell you one thing. I got up too early this morning. I am hurting, and I am very sleepy. I tell you this. The nation's opioid crisis has grown, and the pills have just gotten stronger. So what does that say to you? Look out. Look out. And Hong Kong better look out before China sicks its military on them. We gave Hong Kong back to the Chinese. At least the British did. I hate the British. They're such wimps. Now, President Trump, and I know you're waiting for me to get to this. President Trump declared a victory after Mueller's testimony. And I heard him talking about it. And he says, you know, impeachment's over. He said he launched out a dozen tweets. He said, the truth is a force of nature. Wow. He's not playing. I mean, he's like, hey, either impeach me and let's get this thing on so I can prove that you guys are partisan, or leave me alone. We'll see what he does. Rudy Giuliani, the president's lawyer, again blasted Mueller's frequent stumbles and calls for questions to be repeated, tweeting that the former FBI director was being destroyed on credibility, knowledge, competence, and numerous ahs, pauses, and excuses such as beyond my purview. Trump's national security telegraph people appeared on the set shortly after he made that statement and says, well, we don't, have we don't have any beef with the Mueller report. We don't find it's not credible. It's beyond my purview. Such as he said, Mueller hemmed and hawed and stumbled, and Giuliani was not impressed at all. But I think Mueller was mindful of the need to spend a powerful television image, and he didn't. Trump and his fellow Republicans unleashed a barrage of tweets and statements that continued as a pattern of attacks in which Trump has made baseless claims about Mueller's probe and its findings. Well, we know its findings. They're shot. They were done by other Democrats. How can you trust them? You can't. Democrats who are never Trumpers and very pro Hillary Clinton. Wow. Now everybody's kind of putting their issues up front. And finally, and I do mean finally, the Hawaiians are being recognized as being people who are oppressed by their captors, mainly Spain and the U.S., but primarily the U.S. for the last, 70 some odd years. They go on to say that after a week of tension and dozens of arrests, Hawaii's governor is vowing to find a peaceful resolution to the ongoing stalemate with Native Hawaiians, activists who are trying to prevent the construction of another telescope atop of a big island in Milwaukee. Okay. Boy, I tell you, the reality is the TV defied partisan hype. It didn't happen. And to make a long story short, Mueller looked bad. The Democrats look bad. The Republicans look better, but, who's counting? I'm not. I'm looking at something here. And Special Counsel Mueller did the best job he could, I thought. But at the end, it wasn't enough. And it certainly wasn't enough for primetime TV, which is what Mr. Mueller had yesterday from about 9 to about 3 p.m., 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. But I tell you, for an old guy, he held in there. And people who are trying to energize their base or their radicals to impeach the president, not going to happen. It failed miserably. Not failed a little bit, failed miserably. So everybody's writing about it. They're writing about it here in Chicago. In the number of pages, they have these cartoons that are funny as heck, man. They said Mueller didn't save us. and no one may. No, it's not about being saved. We don't need to be saved. We don't want to be saved. We want the truth. And the truth is, there was no collusion. There was no conspiracy. There was no obstruction. So where do we go from here? The members of the House Judiciary and Intelligence Committee took great comfort from Mr. Mueller coming to the Hill and testifying, and his conclusion that there was no conspiracy. So the point becomes, as I started this show out talking about, well, if there's no conspiracy, if there's no collusion, if there's no obstruction, you could say, I exonerate him. But you're saying, no, I'm not going to exonerate him because we couldn't find anything wrong. Something's wrong with that. Sorry. Something's wrong with that. So anyway, I'm just turning the page in a paper. I tell you, it's something. It's in all the papers. But they led today at the Tribune that Mueller rejects Trump's claims, and then you go into the story and you'll find no, he didn't. In fact, he came back and he took back what he said about exonerating the president. He came back and he took it back. But nobody ever talks about that. Mueller retracts or recants. I'm going to look if I can see that. Mueller recants. Let me see. Mueller recants. Let's see if it's. Nope. Mueller restates, maybe. Nope. Mueller. What about Mueller? I can't come up with anything that where Mueller, when he took back, he said, he came back after lunch and said, what I want to do is correct that. I said that the president was not exonerated, something like that. I mean, who knows? Anyway, as you all know, we've gotten a little bored and tired with this. And I think this is probably one of the last days we're going to do anything on Mueller and impeachment for a very long time, except tomorrow when I talk about the NAACP and their decision to pass a resolution to impeach the president. How crazy is that, man? How crazy is that? Now, Pelosi, I'm sure that she's reveling in this decision or in the performance yesterday of Mueller and the folks from the House on the Republican and Democrat side, and that it vindicates her. And she's saying, hey, we're not going to move forward with impeachment. We have people who live in throw up districts, and they have to come back and fight for their job. So look, we're going to leave you here with a couple of thoughts. And tomorrow we're going to do NAACP and their resolution, their decision to pass a resolution to impeach the president. Now, I don't know why, because it appears to me he can't be impeached. But anyway, hey, what do I know? I'm not an attorney. Hey, look, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show. Give us a call sometime at 215-867-8255. Take care.